教授の実山ロゼット博士とロンドンサウスバンク大学教員のデビッド・マックガバーン博士です。よろしくお願いします。
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking the selection committee and Dr. Kawai and the entire team for their hospitality, for also selecting us for this prize. Myself and Dr. David McGovern here are just representing this wider consortium, which includes many different universities and industry partners, the MAKEWAVES consortium. So overall, the MAKEWAVES consortium consists of about 20 scientists, engineers, and industry partners, which are from diverse backgrounds, from coastal engineers, statisticians, numerical modelers, and physical scientists in coastal engineering. We come from a number of different universities within the UK, but also have partners more internationally. And our aim in working together was really to advance tsunami resilience, developing scientific knowledge, and translating this into engineering tools, best practice, guidance, and policy. Our work was actually inspired by our work in the field. So we have participated in just about every tsunami disaster that has happened since the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, with the most recent mission being looking at 20 years later, the recovery of Banda Aceh. So we go out there to learn lessons, the engineering lessons from impacts. And indeed our work was inspired by the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, and that's why we find it extremely important also, and very grateful, and it's significant to us that this year in particular, the anniversary, has brought this award to our work. A keystone of our research is the tsunami simulator, which we have developed with HR Wallingford. And again, this came, and the idea for the tsunami simulator really came from a conversation that I had with Professor William Alsop many years ago, returning from the field from having seen the disasters in Sri Lanka and Thailand following the Indian Ocean tsunami, and asking why can't we simulate tsunamis in the laboratory? And William was like, well, wave patterns just can't generate very, very long waves, and tsunamis are extremely long waves. So inspired by that, we came up with a new system, a pneumatic system for generating tsunami, whereby you have essentially a tank at one end of the flume, which is equipped with an air pump that extracts the air from inside the flume, and the pressure within the tank is regulated by essentially opening and closing an air valve. By controlling the pressure inside the tank, we can raise the water and lower the water in a controlled manner, creating waves that exit the bottom of the tank through an opening with a wave shaper. In this way, because we're moving extremely large quantities of water, we are able to generate extremely long waves. And these are just some examples of where we have simulated realistic tsunamis. So we have the capacity now to generate tsunamis of up to 28 minutes in terms of wave period at a scale of 1 to 50. And this is more than 10 times the capacity in terms of wavelength of other facilities worldwide. So,
thank you, Professor Rossetto. So, the facilities that we've been using are based at HR Wallingford, which is this beautiful site in Oxfordshire. There are 3 different simulators we've used to date. The first is in a 45-metre long flume, the second is in a 100-metre long flume, and the third is in the flagship fast flow facility at Wallingford. And this slide shows that in a bit more detail. So this is the generator. This is a computer image of a cross-section of the generator, so the water is coming in and out. That wave is propagated down the flume, and as it propagates, it then impinges on our model coastline, so our built environment, where we have our instrumented structures that we want to measure the forces on. So using this facility, this is a video, so if I can, there we go. We've done a number of different tests on really trying to understand the physics of tsunami waves as they interact with the built environment. So if we can understand the physics better, then we can start to come up with better mitigations and better designs, understanding how the tsunami delivers damage. We've done tests on run-up, seawalls, offshore breakwaters, and this particular test here is showing the efficacy or the effect of sort of model mangrove forests or roughness. And you can see, I think it's just stopped again, hasn't it? You can see, compared to the smooth bed here, there is a mitigation. There's a delay in the onset of the wave as it climbs up the slope. We've done single buildings, buildings and arrays, and also scour. So scour is one of the major causes of failure of tsunami in the field. That's the sediment transport around the base of the foundation of structures. This video really nicely shows the unique capability of the tsunami generator in how it can generate these very, very long waves in which the height of the water and the velocity of the water increases quite slowly, but in a way which is physically scalable to the real world. You can see there's a lot of sediment transport in this case. One of the main things that we found about tsunami scour is that the actual maximum scour depth during a tsunami event happens during the event, not after the event. So much of our understanding from field surveys could underestimate the amount of scour by about a third. And I'm going to hand back to Yana.
Thank you, David. So one of the focuses of our research over the past few years has really been looking at the interaction of tsunamis with coastal structures, and in particular buildings. And this just shows you an example of a monitored building with the tsunami passing by. From this information, we've been able to understand a lot more of the physics of this interaction. In particular, some of the key findings are that when you have a finite width structure within a flume, like a building, you do not see the initial impact that is considered within many codes of practice to exist when a tsunami interacts with a building. We've also understood that looking at these extremely long waves that we can generate, which are in this area as compared to those others, actually tsunami flow can be considered to be quasi-static. So it's not a dynamic flow when we consider the wavelength compared to essentially the width of the structure. So by taking that into account, we've been able to use that information to develop new structural analysis tools and methodologies. So what we call the variable depth pushover is essentially a nonlinear static procedure whereby we increase the water level on the side of the structure, effectively then simulating a tsunami interaction. And we have developed a method that is consistent with the American code, the ASC 7, and is now quoted within it. We have developed this methodology to be extremely, to be able to consider quite complex arrangements. So the breaking of infill walls, the inundation within a structure, and how that changes the horizontal forces, but also the buoyancy forces across the structure. So we can take all of that into account. And I'm going to give you a little example of an animation developed for an animation developed of our methodology. This is a Sri Lankan school that has been modelled, and as you can see, the water level as it rises, it increases the force on the structure, and the little dip that you see here is actually where the infill, which is not seen in the picture, breaks. So it breaks, it releases some force, and then the structure takes further load until it fails. By developing this method, we've found an analytical approach to analyze structures and understand their capacity under tsunamis. And harnessing that, we can actually look at, well, what would happen along a coastline? And this is a plot of schools along the Sri Lankan coast in the Ampara district, showing, you know, what the potential damage of an inundation from the 2004 recurrence, tsunami recurrence would be. And we're using these sorts of tools to talk to communities, to talk to basically some of the decision makers in Sri Lanka, and so on. We don't want to limit our research to academic journals. We want it to actually have real impact. And so beyond trying to translate the research into something understandable, we are also conducting preparedness training in communities. And these are the principals of 30 schools in Palu after the tsunami that happened there in 2018, receiving training on evacuation for their schools.
Thank you. So, where does that leave us? So we've now got a generating system which works very well in delivering a single wave into the shoreline. But of course, a tsunami is a sequence of waves. It's all that water that goes in must also come out again. And then often there is another wave and subsequent waves after that. So what we would call a wave train. So we are now developing, we're doing some, we've got a research project developing the tsunami wave train generator. So this is Tsunami Twin Wave Generation Project. And essentially, the idea is that we place a second generator at the far end of the plume, beyond our test structures. And that generator is intended to catch the incoming inundation, hold it, store it, and then deliver it back towards the original generator in a physically scalable way. And then eventually that generator this one would catch it and send it back. And so you would be able to generate the full tsunami interaction with the coastline, which is that wave train in and out. We managed to do, just at the end of our recent MAKEWAVES tests, a sort of a look and see where we installed a second generator. The control system for it is not there. We need to develop that. We need to develop the interaction and how we can model that. But this was to demonstrate whether the concept actually would work. So this video shows the wave which is coming in. This is past a structure showing the scour. And then there is a short pause, and then there's another generator here which catches that flow and then delivers it back in the other direction. We just have to wait a minute. Of course, we need to start matching the timing a bit better, but that's what the research we're going to be doing now is. Here comes the return flow. And eventually that water will come back out to the original generator, where hopefully we can catch it again and send it back. Thank you very much and for this truly great honour that you have bestowed upon us. And thank you to all of the panel and also to all of our partners who are with it today and those who are not here as well. Thank you.
マクガバン博士、ありがとうございました。